Hello everybody. I'm going to do a quick comparison video of Arma 2 and Arma 3, different features, different animations, different graphical differences is a huge one, and just general features that are in Arma 2 or in Arma 3, sorry, that aren't in Arma 2. So here's third person standard combat jog, then switch to first. The walking and shooting down sights, as you can tell, it's not very accurate. It's spread out all over the place and only really good for close quarters. So we will crouch, and you never shoot at the hip. Your gun is always up, but it's just shooting, without looking down sights. There's a reticle that is totally different in Arma 2 than it is in Arma 3. This one is like a V pattern, and it has a little dot right in the middle that tells exactly where your rounds are going to hit. Arma 3 does not have that. Alright, so let's move on to Arma 3. One thing you'll notice is the first person is much more fluid versus Arma 2. Arma 2 is clunky, not very satisfying to play in first person. It almost gives you a headache. So let's check out some Arma 3. Here's looking down sights. You can tell immediately that it's very, very different. The rifles are much more realistic and are definitely more solid and have better sound. Here's gun up but not looking down the sights, just shooting, crouching, and then firing without looking down sights. Now with down sights, you can tell that without controlling your rifle, your rounds will jump. Move up. The guns have a considerable amount of muzzle flip compared to Arma 2. Alright, so here is the tactical crouch. Allows you to have decently accurate fire, but keeping your head low if you're in a situation where you need to get moving, but you need to have your weapon up. Then the lean feature, which is very Arma famous and a very, very useful tool. Then I did not notice this animation with the reload until I started watching this video. I had to redo the entire recording. But I'm glad they have a pretty good reload animation in the game now. So here's the combat jog. Your weapon's up and you're moving it slightly slower than sprint. Then I switched to sprint and first person mode. But sprinting is should be a last ditch thing. You really shouldn't sprint everywhere because your character will get fatigued, and you should only use it when you're under fire, as you'll see up here. If I had ran the whole way and then decided to, my character was fatigued, I probably would have gotten posed right here, so you can see in a second. That's where you need to sprint. But unfortunately I die right here, so I'll cut the video. So, back to Arma 2, here's first person jogging, and then sprinting jogging. You'll notice the screen's very shaky, it almost gives you a headache. I mean, I really was not a fan of it, but I still loved Arma 2, so I really couldn't complain. So here's prone in third person, then in first. And my game started there, I'm not sure what happened, but you'll notice a reload animation. The sounds and the animation don't really coincide, it's very different. Alright, here's standing crouching from prone, and then looking around. Then now, here's with Arma 3 and the new features. The standard combat jog that I already showed. And then there's different types of movements and leans and just overall new animations. So there's crouch to prone. A slightly lower crouch. Then an even lower, like normal crouch. Lower crouch. Then it brings you into a tactical crouch so you can look over low cover while keeping your head down. Here's a sit down method where I guess on the side of a hill you could sit down and have accurate fire behind a rock. Then you'll switch to prone. And then roll. Well, more of a lean. This is really useful for leaning out of cover while keeping your head down, and very good for leaning under cars and just shooting under them and stuff like that. There's also one I noticed that I noticed after I started recording, so I did another one here. I wasn't very used to the controls, so if you're wondering why I'm vaulting and leaning, that's because I haven't really learned the active key yet, so There's also one, I guess I could call it the tippy toe method. I really don't know what you'd call it. But it's if you want to look over this cover, you know, you wouldn't be able to, your rounds would hit, so you lean up. Now you can. So, there you go. Now here's the walk, the brand new Arma walk. Much more realistic, where in Arma 2 your character would have his gun down, and, you know, it didn't really go well. It was kind of stupid, if you ask me. Now salute the enemy chopper, and let's get wet. Alright, so here's the scuba diving phase. I don't want to cover this too much. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to it, so I don't want to get into detail. I want to let people find things out on their own and what you can do, but I want to show it. It's really neat. Your character looks like a boss, so that's also a nice touch. But the sounds are great underwater. I think the sounds in Arma 3 are great in general. It's a very, very, very good soundtrack. The weapon sounds are very nice. Underwater sounds good. But let's get to the driving aspect. In Arma 2, your character, he doesn't have his hands on the wheel. You're really putting your life in his hands when you're driving with him. He does not give a shit. He doesn't care. The wheels are... It's just moving. He doesn't even touch the wheel. With Arma 3, your character, he definitely scored 100% on his driving test. He is 10 and 2 the whole way. You got a nice backup cam. So it's just like real life, pretty much. Got your rear view mirrors that work in Arma 3. And the vehicle controls I like them a lot better than I did in Arma 2. So let's get some driving again. The vehicles in general are just, in Arma 3, are very good, and I like them a lot. And there's Warbot messaging me, so I'll just cut it short. Alright, so now I'm going to do just a graphical comparison. It's not really fair to do this. Arma 2 is a pretty old game on an older engine, so I don't think it's entirely fair to compare the two in graphic-wise, but it's just a nice difference, and a very, very noticeable difference. So here's flying in a helicopter across Chernarus. Chernarus is known for its thick forests and lots of pine trees and open fields, and some mountains in the mix. It's Russia. And then here is Arma 3. You can tell a huge difference. The water looks great. The mountains look great. The chopper looks great. And one thing I forgot to notice with Arma 2, your character does not hold the throttle, it just kind of sits there. But when my character looks down, you'll notice in Arma 3 that the throttle's moving and he pushes the pedals in. There's small sea towns just nestled in the mountains and stuff like that. It's a pretty neat island. But note, this is the smaller of the two islands for Arma 3. And it's a pretty big island for being the smallest. It's, I believe, 25 kilometers by 25 kilometers. And the regular island, the full island, is 250 kilometers by 250. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure, so that is definitely subject to change. But I'm just going to shut up here and let you watch my flying for a little bit, just to check out the island and the graphics and the flying.
under enemy mortar fire. Locate and engage those mortars. Priority.
Alright. And another thing you may have noticed is this is the helicopter showcase mission. And the voice acting in the radio is much better than Arma 2's. Arma 2's was... it wasn't good. There's no really nice way to put it. It was just not good. And it's definitely an improvement. It's still not great in Arma 3, but it's good. It will do. And but Arma 2's was kind of bad. Alright, so I'll come in and land the chopper, and then I'll end the video here. Anyone who's really on the fence about Arma 3, if they didn't like Arma 2, or, you know, they only got Arma 2 for DayZ and they've never experienced, you know, the true Arma, I would definitely recommend this game. It's only the alpha. I've only played, you know, 5 hours or so, but I can definitely assure you it is going to be a good game. But everything in the alpha is definitely subject to change. It's not a final product or anything like that, so all that can change, definitely. Alright, so it's up. There's Robot messaging me after I told him to just calm down for a second, so I'll end it here.